Your starting moveset can change depending on which of the three options you pick when you first make your character. Those three options are, I like it up close, nice and personal, I'll hang back and blast them from afar, and close or far, I keep it balanced. If you click the first option, I like it up close, nice and personal, your starting moveset will be Meteor Crash, Meteor Blow, Super Guard, the Full Power Energy Blast Volley, and Super Front Jump. If you select I'll hang back and blast them from afar, your starting moveset will be the Consecutive Energy Blast, Energy Shot, Energy Charge, as well as the Full Power Energy Blast Volley and the Super Back Jump. And if you select Close or Far, I keep it balanced, your starting moveset will be Meteor Crash, the Consecutive Energy Blast Super Attack, After Image, as well as Full Power Energy Volley, and your evasive will be Instant Rise. Side note, if you, right off the bat, you can make one character with all three of these options, then delete the other two characters and you'll keep the skill. So you can mix and match right off the bat. Some of these skills are incredibly useful and flat out good. For example, Instant Rise is widely considered one of, if not the best evasive skill in the game because it does its job. The Consecutive Energy Blast Super Attack is an incredibly underrated key-based super attack, and Energy Charge, despite it being the worst charge attack in the game, starting off from the very beginning, it can be incredibly, I can't stress this enough, it can be incredibly useful. There's also another character in Conton City by the name of Amy right next to the accessory shop. Now, Amy was the apparent winner of a contest or a sort of like vote that Bandai Namco held just before Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 was released back in 2016. This was a bit of a website thing where you could go and create your own time patroller, and the time patroller with the most votes would later be added into Xenoverse 2, and if memory serves correctly, this was added in, I believe, the 4th update, the DB Super Pack 4. If you talk to Amy, you can get her battle suit for your character straight away right off the bat. But what's interesting about this is that Amy wasn't the actual true winner. There was at least two characters that had more votes than Amy. Those characters were a Majin that resembled and was named Mickey Mouse, and another Majin that was named and resembled Pikachu. It's naturally obvious as to why these weren't added into the game. It's just interesting to note that Amy isn't the actual true winner of that specific contest. You can get a guaranteed Dragon Ball to drop if you make a new character and talk to this character in Conton City right here. The reward from defeating this character is, I believe it's the 4-star Dragon Ball, but if there's a Dragon Ball that you don't have, for example, if you've got all of them apart from, again, for example, the 2nd-star Dragon Ball, the 2-star Dragon Ball, what have you, by defeating this character, you'll get that Dragon Ball or any other Dragon Ball that you don't have. You can do this as much as you want until you've got a completed set, then you won't get any more until you then use the Dragon Balls on Shenron. And again, this is a guaranteed drop from defeating this character. The only, I guess, downside towards this is that this can only be done once ever per character. So if you've got one slot free and you need to get Dragon Balls, just go and make a new character, defeat Raditz, then talk this character, again, that's by the school in Conton City or the Time Patrol Academy, whatever it's called, defeat her, and you'll then get one Dragon Ball that you don't currently have. On the PS4 version of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, there is an option to select old Conton City and new Conton City on the title menu. This doesn't do anything. The only reason this was added was because on the PS4 version of Xenoverse 2, they were running out, apparently they were running out of space or memory to save specific online things such as your world tournament records, your TP rank, nicknames and titles that you could get from event rewards, favorites that you've made in terms of time patrols that you've favorited, gift information and stuff like that. You can still log into old Conton City, but no new events have been on there or will be on there. For example, raids, world tournaments, the Frieza invasion event, as well as the Conton City TV. All of those are in the new Conton City server. All 5 of the current avatar or CAC or custom character, whatever you call it, all 5 of the current CAC avatar, again, whatever, races in the game right now, all have different passive abilities. For male Majins, they can take, well, they do take less damage the more stamina they have, and vice versa. Female Majins have incredibly fast stamina recovery. Saiyans get an attack increase, a Zenkai boost, when they have flashing red health. Earthlings have auto ki recovery, and they get an attack increase when they have max ki. Namekians have health regen whenever they have flashing red health, and the Frieza race has the fastest speed out of anyone in the game. Again, there are a few more to this, so it's not limited to just those things I've just mentioned, but I think that's a good starting point, at least for what this video is, I guess. If you use the Photon Swipe super attack against the gigantic ki blast in a raid, it will automatically send the gigantic ki blast back. I would assume that this is a glitch, so this may change at some point in the future, but as of right now, with one Photon Swipe, and I think it may also work with other skills such as the Darkness Eye Beam, but I'm not entirely sure about that specifically. But again, using the Photon Swipe super attack against the gigantic ki blast when the beam struggle or the struggle, we have to try and send it back to the raid boss, happens in the online raids, it will, with just using it once, which takes 1 bar of ki to use, again, it will instantly send that gigantic ki blast back, and you'll get a lot of points and more than likely end up in first place. You can no longer leave or kick someone from your lobby if it's a ranked lobby or a world tournament lobby. This was done to try and stop people from boosting the leaderboards, which it worked up until a certain point, but it is something that you still technically could do. If anything, it may just take a couple of extra minutes longer to do. Long story short, boosting in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is that you'll make a room and you'll battle someone, presumably yourself, on a different console to get the points to then boost up on the world leaderboards. Again, it's not really been fixed. It kind of has, but not really. And you just can't kick people once 2 people join, again, either a ranked room or a world tournament lobby. There used to be a completely harmless glitch in Conton City where if you went to around this area in the overworld, you could actually fly through the mountain and go inside of Conton City. If I remember at least, this was removed, or rather they fixed it, in Legendary Pack 1, the Legendary Pack 1 free update. But it was just cool to see, I believe Goku and Oob and Supreme Kai of Time herself, as well as just some random time patrollers, were all over the place here, and some of them didn't even have dialogue if you spoke to them. I understand why it was removed, but this, you couldn't exploit this. There's nothing to gain really from doing this other than just to see Conton City from the inside out. And again, unfortunately, it was removed. The music that plays in Conton City will have less instruments playing depending on how far away you go from the city. Once again, take a listen. There is a data transfer feature in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. If you played the first Xenoverse game and had save data, you could transfer your data and and one character to participate in the Xenoverse 2 story mode along with your Xenoverse 2 custom characters. And that character will also occasionally appear as part of the Conton City hero in the middle of Conton City, where that hologram statue thing is. And also can transfer certain skills from Xenoverse 1 to Xenoverse 2, as well as your outfit and stuff like that, to get them near, well, pretty much at the very start of the Xenoverse 2 story mode, just after you defeat Raditz. Modders on the PC version of Xenoverse 2 have been able to, I guess, data mine or what have you, a file in the game which has deflection physics for at least key-based ultimate attacks, and presumably as well key-based super attacks, as you can see right here. It's assumed that these weren't implemented into the game because of how broken it may make things, or just through balancing issues. Apparently, and I may be wrong here, but apparently if you were to do this, it would take away stamina, or rather it would require stamina to deflect. This is absolutely fantastic. This is something that I didn't know at all going into this video, and yeah, this is insane. Wow. In the free update which accompanied Legendary Pack 1 for Xenoverse 2, a new character was added to Conton City named Stylist, or rather the Stylist. Now, this is one you go to change like your hair and stuff like that for, I believe, 10 TP medals. Now, keep in mind, apparently in Xenoverse 1, in the files, there is something called Barber, like a barber to presumably change your hair instead of having to get the Dragon Balls, then summon Shenron each and every single time. But this, naturally, in Xenoverse 1, was never added. But something very similar, again, known as the Stylist, was added to a fairly late update to Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. If you see someone in Conton City or in a lobby, whether it be a parallel quest, a ranked lobby, play match, endless raid, what have you, it doesn't matter. If their name is red rather than white, then this means that that player specifically is a mass rage quitter. They rage quit when they are about to lose, or when they do actually lose. But because of how Xenoverse works, as of right now, it doesn't count it as a win or as a loss. It counts it as a no contest. Again, that's only if they have a red name rather than a white name. You can't access the Frieza Time Rift if the Frieza Force Invasion event is on in Conton City. Now, again, for the purposes of this video, I couldn't get any footage of that specifically, just because the Frieza Invasion event is a timed event in Xenoverse 2. It comes on every couple of months or every X amount of time. I don't know when, well, I don't know how long that is. It is pretty much random when it happens, but again, for the purposes of this video, unfortunately, I couldn't get any footage of that specifically, just because the event wasn't on. For some reason, whenever you use body change on Kid Buu, or as well as Kid Buu, Super Venus Mode Kid Buu, for some reason, his face does this weird warping thing. It only appears on this version of Buu and no other character as far as I'm aware. I don't know if this is a reference to pure evil Buu, that Majin Buu battled to and then got 8 to then become Super Buu. But it's just interesting that this is the only Majin Buu character in the game that this happens to. Very bizarre and a little bit eerie, to be honest. There's a special loading screen in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 that pays homage to an older Dragon Ball Z game, that video game being Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. The loading screen is what you see right here of a load of Cybermen, and of course, if you've played Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, you'll know that this is one of the loading screens minigames in Budokai 3, where you repeatedly hit an input to make more Cybermen appear. Also, side note, Budokai 3 and the Budokai series and the Xenoverse series share the same developers, that developer being Dimps, and also 2 additional facts that I'm not counting for the video, so 3 in 1 here. To get this loading screen, you just had to complete an in-game survey. I think it was to see what you wanted to, I think it was what you want to see for future updates in the Xenoverse series, or it's for breakers, I forget which. I might mention that because this has only been available once. quite a long time ago as of this recording and upload, and probably won't be available again, or if they do make it available, it won't be available for quite a long time. Sorry if you don't have it. Vados will appear in the Time Nest if you complete the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 Destroyer Tournament DLC. Before this, she's nowhere to be seen in the Time Nest, but if you get the DLC and complete that part of the story mode, Vados will be a permanent fixture in the Time Nest. For some reason, they hid her away. There's no explanation to this. But yeah, Vados will appear in the Time Nest if you get that DLC and complete it. If you don't have it, she will never appear in the Time Nest. The very first Conton... It's still funny. The very first Conton City TV broadcast in Xenoverse 2 didn't actually work. After literal months of promotion and the Supreme Kai of Time with Trunks and Elder Kai reminding you about it every time you were to load into Conton City. Honestly, it's still so funny that they couldn't get it to work. The first Conton City TV broadcast didn't work. This was the broadcast that revealed the winners of the Japanese Super Fashion Contest, I believe. I don't know because I couldn't see it because it didn't work. It didn't work for anybody. It was the same one that revealed or hinted at full Power G-Ring being added in at the time. The next update, which would have been Legendary Pack 2 for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and it didn't work for a single person. The countdown happened and then nothing. It's still funny. And speaking of the Xenoverse 2 title menu, because this is the second Dragon Ball Xenoverse game, there is a 2-star Dragon Ball on the title menu and back in the original Xenoverse game, because it's naturally the first Dragon Ball Xenoverse game, there was a 1-star Dragon Ball. So hopefully if Xenoverse 3 happens, they'll continue this little bit of a tradition with the 3rd-star Dragon Ball. Basic Ki Blasts have no effect at all on God of Destruction Toppo because of his Hakai, or whatever you call it, his Destroyer energy, his aura. Keep in mind, though, that they do technically work on him and it will do damage and stun him and stuff like that if he's not in a position to sort of like protect himself. But if you just spam basic Ki Blasts on God of Destruction Toppo, as you can see right here, they'll just have no effect on him at all. The playable model for Supreme Kai of Time has been significantly updated and is now more detailed compared to the non-playable model of the Supreme Kai of Time. This is widely speculated to be because of the fact that this was maybe planned for a 3rd Dragon Ball Xenoverse game, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, but was ported over, I guess is the word, to Xenoverse 2 to continue with the updates. If you look carefully at the Xenoverse 2 title menu, in the XV, you can actually see the Toki City Hourglass, despite this not making an appearance in Xenoverse 2, with the exception of, I believe, just one mission in the Xenoverse 2 story mode, where you go back in time to just before Trunks summons Shenron back in the original Xenoverse game. There's various Super Souls in Xenoverse 2 that belong to characters or different forms of characters that aren't currently in the game or even in the Xenoverse series as of right now. These include Super Namekian, or rather the giant version of Piccolo from the original Dragon Ball, as well as characters such as Android 19 and Dr. Jello. There's a Namekian in Conton City that had his name change. I'm not going to say what it used to be or even what it is right now, but you can see right here, this Namekian had a slightly different name when the game first came out, and it was changed because it sounded similar to another word which is widely considered to be offensive. If you already have all 3 of the current raid bosses unlocked, those 3 being Demigra, Final Form Mirror, and Corrupted Merged Zamasu, and then you rebuy those gifts and then talk to Fu again and hand over those gifts, he'll then instead, because you've already got those characters unlocked, he'll then instead give you 10 Demon Realm Crystals per gift you give him. If you summon Shenron with the Dragon Balls and then wait, Shenron will get a little bit impatient with you, and there's a few lines that he says that I just think are out of character and just funny. So that said, have a listen.
What's the matter? Hurry up and wish. Wishes. Get your wishes here. Hello? Excuse me. I'm waiting for your wish. Waiting. I was created by the gods. As a result, I cannot grant any wish that would be beyond the power of a god.
Going from Xenoverse 1, the original Dragon Ball Xenoverse game, to Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, a couple of characters were removed, a couple of playable characters, those being Venus Mode, Xeno Trunks, Venus Mode, Vegeta, Venus Mode, Ultimate Gohan, as well as Venus Mode, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, as well as a few more. To get both the Super Mix Capsule and Super Mix Capsule Z mixing items, you need to do payload quests, but you need to do them by talking to the multiplayer modes AI computer, whatever you want to call him, in Conton City, right by the giant arch. If you go and do a normal payload quest from the payload quest robots, these will not even be something that you can get. Don't know if this is a glitch or bug or what have you, but you have to do a parallel quest tour to get both either and or the Super Mix Capsule, or better yet, the Super Mix Capsule Z. Again, you cannot get these just from doing a normal payload quest. You have to talk to the multiplayer modes Conton City resident. If you go out on a time patrol in the time nest by interacting with the time rift right next to the partner customization robot, and then you click return to time nest, then restart the game, instead of then loading into Conton City directly, you'll then instead load directly into the time nest. Once you've defeated Raditz and can pick which character you want to appear as the Toki hero, including your Xenoverse 1 characters if you performed a data transfer at the very start of your Xenoverse 2 save file, some of these characters are actually the winners from, I believe, the last Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1 World Tournament. The reward, I believe, I forget when they said it, but the reward was basically they will be added to a custom loading screen on PS4. I don't know about other consoles, which does look quite nice actually, and also to be part of the data transfer feature from Xenoverse 1 to Xenoverse 2, which in turn has immortalized them. Fair play. Nappa, as a custom mentor, has the ability to turn Super Saiyan, but funnily enough, if you do turn Super Saiyan on custom Nappa, his toupee will disappear. It won't turn golden, it won't stay the same color, it will just flat out disappear. But funnily enough, his toupee will return if you then revert back to Nappa's base form. If you have access to both the old Conton City server and the new Conton City server, as in you are playing on the PS4, PS5 version of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, you can get 2 login bonuses per day, meaning technically speaking, if you're lucky and you time it right, technically you could get, just from logging into Xenoverse 2, both the servers, you could technically get 2 Dragon Balls per day, depending on when the rewards are, as well as a lot of Zenny, Hercule badges, which can be sold for, well, a lot of Zenny, as well as, I think, 60 TP medals. Again, that's just from logging into both the old and the new Conton City servers. Going back now to Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1, Krillin and Yamcha both have a preset in Xenoverse 1 which has Kaioken. Not times 3 or not times 20, I don't believe, just the normal Kaioken. And back in Xenoverse 1, bonus fact here, Kaioken was a super attack, not an awoken skill. This was taken out for Xenoverse 2, no idea why or why they didn't get Kaioken as a mentor preset. But yeah, back in Xenoverse 1, Krillin and Yamcha had Kaioken on one of their presets. because sure, why not? Even though Tien didn't, so it's not as if it's from training with King Kai. It's very strange. If you've already got Final Form Mirror, Demon God Demigra, and Final Form Grotesque Merge Zamasu, whatever you want to call him, unlocked via the gifts, if you then get those gifts again and then talk to Fu in Conton City and then hand over one of those gifts, because you've already got those characters unlocked, instead, he will give you 10 Demon Realm crystals, which, as we've already mentioned, for QQ bangs are exceptionally useful. Again, that's only if you've already given him either of those 3 gifts or just one of them, which is why you may see in some videos I have 10 of the, I think it's the mirror gift, just in case in the future if I need demon crystals quickly. During a Conton City TV broadcast, even if it didn't work, you could talk to Aldo and he'll give you a special artwork loading screen. These have only been available once, but technically 6 times as part of the 5 repeat showings, like within the next day or so. But these have yet to come back, so if you haven't got these, you may not actually be able to get these ever again. You just may not. They may add them as part of a future TP Metal Store update. But again, as right now, you can't get the special artwork outside of attending one of the previous Conton City TV broadcasts. There is a character in Conton City with this name right here. I don't know how you pronounce it, Zazomu? Whatever. But you may have noticed that this character has a name that is very, very similar to an official Dragon Ball character, that being Zamasu. And I believe this character is part of the Hero Coliseum. I'm only mentioning that because Zamasu was revealed in Dragon Ball Super in 2016, but the Hero Coliseum wasn't added until late 2017. So they knew of Zamasu, so why they left this in? I mean, it's a different character, but it's so eerily close to Zamasu. It's literally 1 letter off. Going back to an earlier fact in this video, if you have all 7 Dragon Balls that make a brand new character or talk to this character here in Conton City after defeating Raditz, instead of getting another Dragon Ball, you'll get a Hercule badge. But again, that's only if you have all 7 Dragon Balls. There's actually a voice from Team 4-Star that you can actually have as the voice for your playable character, your CAC. Take a listen.
Stop! Believe it! Ha! Stop! Huh? Ha? Daddy! Yep.
There is a mechanic in the game which is officially known as a just guard. This is when your timing is perfect and you get a block that looks something like this. Although it's more commonly referred to as in the community as a perfect block rather than a just guard. Certain skills, if fully charged and if you're in a Super Saiyan transformation, can teleport. These skills include Kamehameha, the ×10 Kamehameha, as well as the fully charged Big Bang Kamehameha, as well as Evil Explosion. Technically speaking, the Earthling race isn't exactly, or rather, it's not just the human race. Technically speaking, an Earthling is someone who was born or made on Earth. So, once again, technically speaking, in the Dragon Ball series, characters such as Cell and even Cell Max, although they are bio-androids, they technically are Earthlings, which does open up the doors to further customization, at least options, in a future Dragon Ball Xenoverse game or just a future Dragon Ball game in general. By clicking left on the D-pad, at least on the PS4 and PS5 version of Xenoverse 2, you can go into Skeleton mode and you can actually see what skills, with the exception of the Awoken skill, your opponent has on their character, as well as what their power levels are. Tien has a superstar which is also available for your custom characters in Xenoverse 2, which completely nullifies damage from any Kamehameha skill. Although do keep in mind, this does not include the Breaker Energy Wave, which technically is also known as the Angry Kamehameha. The Xenos will say goodbye to you if you select the Tournament of Power stage and the battle ends in a timeout. Take a listen.
The battle is gonna end! No! I want to see more! I want to see more! Yeah, but we have to go before too long. Aw, yeah, I guess so. Okay then, see you! Bye!
The Beast Mold Awoken skill only changes your hair if you use it on either an Earthling or on a Saiyan custom character. If you use this on any of the other 3 races in the game as of right now, those being on a Majin, on a Namekian, or on a Frieza race character, it doesn't change the hair or anything at all, even if you wear like a wig or anything like that. And again, if you use it on either a Saiyan or an Earthling, it'll change it to just a copy and paste of Gohan Beast's hair from the Cell Max battle at the end of the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie. There's a very subtle reference to the Dragon Ball Raging Blast series in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, and I think also technically in Xenoverse 1 as well. You can hear this from completing the final Goku Mentor mission. It's the mission where, if you complete it, you unlock the Super Kamehameha Ultimate Attack. Take a listen.
That's enough! I don't think I have anything else I can teach you. Nuts! You really are incredible! It was a raging blast fighting with you!
The absolute best QQ Bang recipe as of right now in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is mixing the Bardock top, the Dragon Ball Z Bardock top, with the Beerus top and using a Super Mix Capsule Z as the mixing items. I believe this will get you access to any QQ Bang, even a bad one, but if you're going to use this, this is more likely going to give you an excellent 6-star QQ Bang that is, well, there's no way to really say it. If you can get a good one, it's very overpowered and fantastic. Your stats can change depending on what body type and height you pick when you're making your character. On the screen right now, you can see a screenshot of a comment I found, which I personally found very useful. So pause to read this comment and to learn it and understand it and stuff like that, if you so wish. The way Super Saiyan 3 for custom characters, or rather for custom Saiyan characters, was revealed for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 was absolutely legendary, given that we could only use Super Saiyan 1 and Super Saiyan 2 in terms of Super Saiyan forms in the original Dragon Ball Xenoverse game. It was revealed at the very, very end of the Anime Expo 2016 Xenoverse 2 trailer. We had the trailer, which had a lot of new stuff in. Then at the end, we saw the Future Time Patrol there just use Final Kamehameha while in Super Saiyan 3, and it was just honestly absolutely legendary. At least as of this upload, the Tapion outfits are the absolute rarest outfits in all of Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, as each of them have only been given out once as part of a world tournament reward for getting a certain amount of points during the event time. The second rarest item, or rather the second rarest outfit, is the Dragon Ball Z Paragus outfit, but that's been available at least twice, maybe 3 times. I'm not entirely sure if it's been available 3 times, but it's definitely been available at least twice. Going back to Xenoverse 1, once again, if you used any of the Super Saiyan forms, and bonus fact, I guess, they weren't Awokens in Xenoverse 1, they were Ultimate, so a Super Saiyan Ultimate attack, which is weird saying that, but regardless, if you used any of the Super Saiyan forms in Xenoverse 1, you would have unlimited ki, and when you went for Supers and Ultimates, it wouldn't drain your ki. Well, rather, when you're in these forms, your ki will constantly drain, unless you were to use a charge skill or a specific Super Soul, etc. but you wouldn't lose ki specifically for going for a super or an ultimate attack. Support for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 was only originally planned for a year after its release. Now keep in mind, by support, it doesn't necessarily mean DLC, it means DLC and the online events and patches and stuff like that. But because of the overwhelming success and to some extent the surprising success of Xenoverse 2, DLC as well as support in both paid and free updates and patches and stuff like that has been going on for several years since its release. You can instantly revive a fallen teammate by using something that's known as a flash revive. Do keep in mind though that although this will instantly revive them, it does take away a pretty decent amount of your health. Back in Xenoverse 1, you couldn't see your opponent's ki or stamina like how you could see it or how you can see it in Xenoverse 2. And side note, a bit of history here, I distinctly remember when this was in like the trailers and the promotion, you know, leading up to Xenoverse 2 being released, the quote-unquote competitive Xenoverse 1 players, whatever that means, I don't know. I remember a lot of them at the time really complaining about this. It's just so weird. It took 5 years for the in-game Conton City information board to actually work as it was intended. It now works and shows you the upcoming as well as the ongoing events in Xenoverse 2, such as when there's going to be, or when it's announced that there's going to be a Conton City TV broadcast, a raid, a world tournament event, even when there's a different lineup in the TP Medal store. When you go and select to make a character, if you then back out of the selection, you may experience a unique animation, a sort of like foot stomp animation, which is nowhere else to be seen in the entire game. During the fly through time countdown, Bandai Namco had revealed that there's a hint on this project page. Now, although I don't believe they ever came out and said what this hint was, I was actually, I think, the first person to find out that the hint was if you were to connect the 7 Dragon Balls and kind of play like a connect the dots with it, it would spell out XV, which was an obvious hint towards Xenoverse, and ultimately, because of that, well, at the time, it would have been Xenoverse 2, which, once again, would have been revealed once the timer hit 0. Vegito is playable in both Dragon Ball Xenoverse games, Xenoverse 1 and Xenoverse 2, but he does not appear in the main story modes. Yes, in Xenoverse 2, he appears as Super Saiyan Blue Vegito in a DLC story mode mission and also in the Tokopedia, but in terms of the main, I guess, like base game, he does not appear as any character. Well, he doesn't appear in the story mode for either games, despite being a playable character. If you equip any of the Crystal Raid skills and then go into Photon mode, your character will have the Villainous Mode aura, although unfortunately this doesn't work online in a normal 1 versus 1. The DLC vehicle, the Space Pod vehicle, is the only vehicle in Xenoverse 2 right now that if you fall off of the city and once you're teleported back, it will have a different sound effect. Take a listen. Despite beam clashes or beam struggles, whatever you want to call them, not currently in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, depending on which 2 attacks hit each other, you'll get effects that look like this. There is a somewhat, but not really, secret preset of Beerus, kind of, but again, not really, and that's preset 2, which at first glance you may not notice there's anything different, but if you look at Beerus's head, he's actually got the Wiz symbol on his head. Play the Xenoverse 2 story mode and you'll understand why. But this is something that I didn't realize until much later on in Xenoverse 2's life cycle. In a rather interesting turn of events, the image of Super Saiyan Goku on the Xenoverse 2 startup screen, you know, the one with Super Saiyan Goku, Bardock, and Future Gohan has become a bit of a meme recently called the Goku Prowler meme. That's all I'm going to say. I highly encourage you all to Google it or what have you yourself, because it is hilarious in my opinion. After defeating Final Form Mirror at the end of the normal Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 story mode, Final Form Mirror only appears one more time, and that is in this parallel quest right here. The rock, paper, scissors super attack is different depending on which input you select. There's 3 in total. Naturally, those are rock, paper, and, you guessed it, scissors. There's special dialogue, or maybe more accurately, glitched dialogue, if you pick Super Saiyan God Goku versus Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Super Saiyan God Goku sounds like Super Saiyan 4 Goku. It's very weird. So with that said, do take a listen.
How about it, Kakarot? Now can you fight without holding anything back?
You're amazing, Vegeta. Now let's fight.
Final Form Mirror heavily resembles Super Saiyan 5 from the fan-made Dragon Ball AF manga. And the more I look at it, the more I think, yeah, the resemblance is rather uncanny. 24 hours before Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 was revealed, on the 16th of May 2016, there was a teaser revealed, the Fly Through Time project or teaser or whatever you want to call it. This had a 24-hour countdown timer, and once the countdown timer hit 0, they then officially revealed Xenoverse 2 with the Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 reveal trailer. Certain attacks can go through super armor, for example the basic grab, as well as skills such as Super God Fist, Savage Strike, as well as Gigantic Rage. The Beast Awoken skill is technically the first Awoken skill for custom characters that when used, it will consume ki. It's not the first Awoken skill to do so, but it is for custom characters, as the first Awoken skill that when used consumes ki is Pure Progress, which again, as of right now, is only available for preset 2 of hit, or rather the Awoken preset of hit, as well as custom Awoken hit. The Time Nest in Xenoverse 2 uses different shaders compared to the rest of Conton City. Although this isn't confirmed, the reason for this is more than likely, well, probably because the Time Nest could have been copy and pasted from Xenoverse 1 directly into Xenoverse 2, and at least as of right now, they've not updated the shader from the Time Nest compared to the rest of Conton City. You can increase the damage of dual ultimate attacks if you increase this bar on the left of the mental icons. This little like blue, green, turquoisey color mental bar, the higher it goes. DBS Gogeta has a unique Super Saiyan animation, which if you use it while in the middle of a combo, will almost instantly let you go into Super Saiyan rather than the usual animation, which can get your stamina broken a lot of the time. This can be particularly useful if you know or can predict when your opponent is going to vanish, so that way you can go for a sort of pseudo back hit or sort of like knockback and can then continue. Legendary Pack 1 for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 added the Conton City Vault. However, it's taken about 14 months for the winners to actually be revealed, even though the voting closed within the first few weeks of Legendary Pack 1 being out, and then additional votes or categories being added for the Legendary Pack 2 update. It took over a year and then some. The Conton City TV is only available in the multi-lobbies. It is not available in the single lobbies. I have lost count how many comments I've had since this was added and introduced, and people saying that they can't see it or where is it. I mean, if you're in the multi-lobby, it's you literally can't miss it. Just look up. It's only available in the multi-lobbies, not in the single lobbies. Back in Xenoverse 1, you could actually destroy parts of the mountain stage, but for whatever reason, in Xenoverse 2, they made it so you couldn't do it, even if you go to the exact same position on the exact same parallel quest. Why this was removed is beyond me, because it was such a cool feature and you need to do it in Xenoverse 1 to get one of the Dragon Balls for one of the Dragon Ball parallel quests. If you use Solar Flare, the super attack Solar Flare, against any of the Great Ape characters, it will temporarily stun them, or rather temporarily blind them. However, if you use this against Cell Max, it doesn't. It does nothing. Now, this could change later on as part of a future update, but at least as of the free Beast Mode Awoken Skill update, it does absolutely nothing to Cell Max. You can recover stamina at a much faster rate if you're on a solid surface rather than if you were flying. Keep in mind, invisible grounds do not count. And speaking of skelters, your skelter perspective will change color depending on what color of skelter you're wearing, even including the golden skelter. If you use the Dragon Fist ultimate attack while in the Super Saiyan God Awoken skill, your character will not glow white at the end of the attack, unlike in, I believe, every other Awoken skill. This is a harmless visual glitch, but maybe try it yourself and experience it for yourself before it, at some point, maybe will get patched out. You can actually throw Dragon Balls. If you go to a parallel quest where you have to go and collect the Dragon Balls and send them back to the time machine to complete that parallel quest, if you have either one Dragon Ball or if you're holding two Dragon Balls and then go for the grab input, you will throw them. There's a different animation depending on if you have one Dragon Ball or two Dragon Balls, and you can technically throw them at your opponents. You can use data input as a giant Namekian. To do this, just use data input first, then use turn giant, and you'll then get that Ultra Instinct dodging effect. This also works for forms such as the Pale Pole Pro and Purification. Once again, use data input first, then use the Awoken skill, and it'll work as usual. You can use the Hyper Movement Evasive to freeze the basic combination string that you're doing and to, well, move at a hyper speed, whatever, behind your opponent. It's a cool effect. It's not really efficient, but if you've got stamina spare and you're going to win, or just want to flex, I guess, then this does look so cool, as you can see right here. There's several unused voice lines in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, which may be used at some point in the future for a future Xenoverse 2 update, Xenoverse 3, what have you. But one of these, interestingly enough, is a voice line of Super Saiyan 2 Vegito. Take a listen.
Guess I'm Super Vegito 2 now!
Super Vegito 2ってとこか。
Strangely enough, both First Form Cell and First Form Frieza have their first form part of their name spelled differently from each other. One of them has first form written as letters, and the other has first form written as a number, as in 1ST, rather than FIRST, spelling with Burcol. For whatever reason, Shining Slash and Burning Slash are only available to Saiyans and Earthlings. Don't know why. There's no sort of restrictions because it's just an animation, if that makes sense. Although there are other hybrid Saiyan skills that are available to anyone. For example, Burst Rush. For example, Besenko. For example, Heat Dome Attack. Depending on the situation and the stage, the Spirit Bomb Super Attack will rebound, but it will go through solid matter. This must be a glitch, but if you launch the Spirit Bomb Super Attack and your opponent moves out of the way of it, it can go through, I believe it works on the World Tournament stage, it'll go through the stands and then come back and possibly hit your opponent. As you may know, there are a lot of what-if scenarios in Xenoverse 2. To some extent, you could argue that the entire Xenoverse series is a giant what-if, but more specifically, one what-if is what if Goku used Ultra Instinct Saiyan against Kid Buu in the Majin Buu saga rather than later on in the Tournament of Power. If you want to know more what-ifs, play the game. Janemba, as well as Fu, as well as technically villainous mode Janemba, as well as custom Janemba, all have unique vanishes as opposed to the traditional teleport vanish. Legendary Super Saiyan Broly is the only character that can appear in Conton City with an actual aura. Once you talk to him and he can become your mentor, when you go and talk to him then in Conton City, he doesn't have an aura. It's only when you first approach him in Conton City that he has a rather menacing green aura. Oh, there's a few animations from Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 that were reused in Dragon Ball Legends. One of these being the Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Awoken skill animation in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, which is essentially the same as what they used for the Ultimate Gohan transformation animation in Dragon Ball Legends. There's special dialogue in quotations, between a Saberman and a Cell Jr., despite them never meeting, at least as of right now, in the series. Take a listen to the special dialogue. Now, although wearing sunglasses on an outfit, an accessory, or what have you, won't protect you from skills such as Solar Flare, if you use this Super Soul here, you will be able to protect yourself and your allies from blinding skills such as the Solar Flare, even if you're not wearing sunglasses, because sure, why not? Preset 2 of Majub, so the Oob preset, has energy charge. But here's the thing, when you use energy charge on preset 2 of Majub, it will instantly recover half a bar of ki. This is the only character with energy charge, even on your custom character, that has this effect. You recover ki whenever you go into a clash. Now, if you're fighting somebody online and the connection is particularly bad or laggy or what have you, this is actually fairly useful because of the desyncing issues because of the lag. You may actually end up going into quite a lot of clashes and just getting free ki, basically. When you join any online lobby, whether it be a play match, an endless battle, an online parallel quest, a raid, or any of the other number of online lobbies, your connection will always appear as a 5-bar connection from your perspective, even if you have a bad connection. Kefla has 2 different grabs. These can be activated automatically if you're standing on the ground or if you're flying. By using an additional input on Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta's Super Kamehameha, you can absorb it to get an attack increase. Custom Goku can use Divine Lasso, one of the signature skills for Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black. The times 100 Big Bang Kamehameha ultimate attack has a sort of secret second function, and that is if you use it locked off, it will rotate, making it quite a surprise if your opponent doesn't know they can do that, and or if they are just not anticipating it. If your timing is perfect when you play as Super Saiyan God Vegeta, you will do increased damage and you'll get a different sound effect. You can use the R3 input, and I'd assume it will just be whatever the right analog stick is on other consoles, but on PS4, PS5 and PC, I believe, if you click R3 on your controller, you can actually use the Dragon Radar to get a better perspective of where the Dragon Balls are. You can kind of, but not really, have 2 different colors for your hair in Xenoverse 2. If you have black hair and then wear the Baby Trunks hat accessory, it's technically 2 different hair colors. Hyper movement used to be the best evasive in all of Xenoverse 2 before it was nerfed. Before the nerf, Hyper movement could break your opponent's guard if they went for an ultimate attack. It was incredibly overpowered. If you go to the title screen and click on options, you can actually change the controller presets. Now, I want to say one of the presets I think is a preset that more so resembles the controls from the Dragon Ball Raging Blast series. The naming of the Limit Burst feature could be a homage to an older Dragon Ball Z game that Dimps also worked on, that game being Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit. Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit, Limit Burst. Do you get it? If you talk to this robot here, you can get information on past updates that were added to Xenoverse 2. The fastest way to increase your mentor friendship bar is to just repeat the first mentor mission. Doing this, as far as I'm aware, is the fastest and most efficient way to, once again, increase your mentor level bar. The Vanisher Guard Evasive was renamed to Punisher Guard. Yeah, sure. It was such a random thing that they changed. I still don't know why they bothered with that, in all fairness, but yeah, Vanisher Guard was renamed to Punisher Guard. For some reason, you can't change the name of your custom character, your avatar, your CAC, again, whatever you want to call it, when you use the Dragon Balls to summon Shenron, even though you can change pretty much essentially everything else. By using this Super Soul right here, you can change your basic Ki Blast into a heart, like what Rubrian uses in Xenoverse 2 and in Dragon Ball Super. This is also a Super Soul that you can get from a raid. With the exception of Ultra Instinct Goku, the only other character in Xenoverse 2 that has auto dodge is, unsurprisingly enough, Whis. But that's only in Parallel Quest 131. Much like in previous Dragon Ball games, Hercule has a jetpack so he can actually fly. If you ever notice white mist around any character, either that being your custom character, your CAC, your avatar, or an original character, that white mist means that there is currently a Super Soul taking effect. When you get max Ki, your aura will flare up, which looks particularly cool if you are in, for example, the Super Saiyan Blue Awoken skill and you keep getting max Ki over and over and over again. You can only challenge people in Conton City to a battle if they are the same level as you or higher. You cannot challenge people in Conton City if they are even just one level below you. Artwork number 1 is a reference to the iconic Goku versus Frieza pose in Dragon Ball Z, only in Xenoverse 2, played out by Supreme Kai of Time and Zeno Trunks. Vados can extend her light combo by holding down the light input at this part of her combo, and it goes on for quite a long time. Yeah, it's fun more than anything. The Crush Cannon super attack can actually one-shot your opponent if it's fully charged, and also you can pause the charging of this attack by clicking the guard button. There are a few ultimate attacks in Xenoverse 2 which can actually be used as a back hit ultimate attack. These include skills such as Soul Punisher, Crush Cannon, and Power Rush. If you have a bald, sane custom character, avatar, CAC, whatever you want to call it, and then use Super Saiyan 3, you will get a full head of hair. Because, yeah, Ultra Instinct Saiyan Goku was added several years before he was a playable character. He was first added as part of a cutscene as part of the Tokopedia mode. If you get over 99 hits in a single combo, instead of saying 100 and then 101 and then going forward from there, it will just say a Z combo. Did you know that you can actually walk, not run, in Conton City if you ever so slightly move the left analog stick in a direction that you want to move in. If you throw the Dragon Balls so they are close to each other, and I believe you have to make them so them very close to each other, they will slightly glow like how they do when they are close to each other in the series. Much like with Super Saiyan Kefla, First Form Cell also has two different grabs. One of them is if you're in the air, and the other one is if you're on the ground. You can get a guaranteed successful grab if you immediately go for the grab after getting a successful perfect block, also known as a just guard. Much like the information board in Conton City, now on the title menu on Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, you can get information on ongoing online events. Full Power Super Saiyan Broly from the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, his super attacks can be used if you have enough stamina and ki while you're being attacked. Although it's very, very tricky to do, and you can only even attempt it once per fight, you technically can perfect block a limit burst activation. If you have super mixed capsules and spare demon realm crystals, you can mix them both together to get one super mix capsule Z. With the exception of the Turn Golden Awoken skill, there are no other exclusive skills available for the Frieza race. Android 16 shoots his charged Ki Blast out of his wrist, as in he removes his android hand and then shoots it, which is a nice little touch right there. Apart from being able to throw the Dragon Balls if you have them, you can also limit burst if you're holding them, either if you're holding one of them or if you're holding two. By using this Super Soul, which is a raid reward, you can change your basic Ki Blast to a stone. Yeah. If you're lucky, you can pick up a Turtle Hermit Shell accessory by picking up one of the items at the resort area in Conton City. What we now know as Super Souls in Xenoverse 2 were originally known as Z Souls in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1. Despite the name of the evasive being Instant Rise, you can use Instant Rise to go both up as well as to go down. If you summon one of the Xeno CC mascots and then use the Kamehameha pose, it will mimic you, and I never knew this, so fair play. Super God Fist will connect if you use it immediately after sending your opponent back with a knockback. Wearing an accessory which has sunglasses doesn't actually protect you from blinding skills such as Solar Flare. Buhan has the longest grab in the game. The Volcanic Wasteland stage is a reskin of the destroyed planet Namek stage. Full Power Jiren's grab will drain your opponent's stamina.